Podcasts on UNC-TV.org are made possible through the financial contributions of viewers like you, who invite you to join them in supporting UNC-TV.
Author Charlene Register's new book focuses on the lives and careers of Black actresses in Hollywood who fought a constant battle against racial stereotyping. Professor Register recently sat down with North Carolina Bookwatch host D.G. Martin to talk about African-American actresses, the struggle for visibility.
With young kids, when you describe Hattie McDaniel and the role of the African-American servant in this Civil War, how do they react to this story?
Well, I think they find it fascinating and intriguing, but one of the things that I try to do is make connections between then and now. And so after we study some of these early characters, I ask them, do they see survivals of these sort of same representations in contemporary times and the significance of those survivals? And one of the things I'm trying to teach is to teach them to read race in interesting and unique ways. And that is the skill. I tell them, I'm teaching you a critical thinking skill. So it doesn't matter to me whether you're reading race or reading something else. This is something that you will be able to take with you and apply to all aspects of your life.
Wow. Well, I'd like to talk about this for a long time. But returning to your book, you mentioned one of the earlier film, and you introduced me in your book to an actress that I'd never heard of, but apparently is quite famous in Birth of a Nation, Madame Solty-Wan?
Yes, Madame Solty-Wan.
Tell us about this.
She was a fascinating actress.
And just to set it up, Birth of the Nation, of course, is a classic, great film, at least from a technical standards.
It was one of the most technologically sophisticated films to date when it came out in 1915, but it was also one of the most racially insightful films.
Inciting or insightful?
Insightful. There were riots that erupted in Philadelphia. People in New York protested. People in Chicago tried to prevent the exhibition of the film.
Mostly African-American people?
Not necessarily. There were a number of whites, such as Jane Addams, who was associated with the Hull House. She opposed the film. Charles Eliot, who was president of Harvard University at the time, he also opposed the film.
Why did this great variety of people oppose what was a critically acclaimed film?
I think they recognized that the images in terms of the way African Americans were presented in the film was very damaging to the racial divide at the time period. Nobody wants a film that's going to further exacerbate the racial divide, and I thought that the film definitely does this. And just to give you an example, in the film there's an instance where during Reconstruction, blacks are elected to the legislature. However, when they are shown eating fried chicken, propping their bare feet on the desk in the legislature, passing laws to sanction interracial marriages, and it was just a gross distortion. So
it became what people, it was so powerful, so well done, and in a time when Americans, a film was new, so everybody saw it, everybody talked about it, and it became the history that many people believed, notwithstanding, because it was on film, it must be right. Well, now, that again is another topic, but this actress, tell us about Madame Solty-Wan.
Madame Solty-Wan appeared in maybe a small scene in The Birth of a Nation, and because of her early relationship with D.W. Griffith, this allowed her to have a fairly extensive career in the Hollywood industry. So even though she appeared in this film in 1915, her film career lasted well through the late 1950s, which was phenomenal in itself because most white screen actresses could only act for a certain period of time, and then that was pretty much the end of their career. But this lady managed to maintain a long-term career, and we think it was because of her connections to D.W. Griffith.
Well, she must have had talent as well.
She had talent, and I think the other attribute that she embodied is she continued to reinvent herself, and she represented a variety of ethnicities. In one film, she's cast as an East Indian woman. In another film, she's cast as another sort of ethnicity. So the fact that she can camouflage her identity and play a lot of different roles probably added to her sort of viability.
And she was in Birth of a Nation, but not in a big role, I guess.
No, not in a big role. And in fact, in Birth of a Nation, there are some real black people in some of the crowd scenes, but a lot of the some of the black characters that are centered next to the leading white characters in the film are really white actors appearing in blackface.
Well, it interests me, both in Hattie McDaniel's case and also in Madame Sulty-Wan's case, both acting in, only able to get their acting jobs by taking these roles that some other African Americans thought would be demeaning and would be assisting in perpetuating a mythology about history that is detrimental to African Americans. And did in your research, did you find that they worried about these things, worried about
I think they all wrestle with this internally, but it's probably a same sort of dilemma that actors confront today. Do I take this really bad role in order to elevate my career? If I really want to be a serious actor, I'm going to have to play some of these roles. So I think it's a dilemma that confronts almost any entertainer who's pursuing a career as an actor or an actress.
You can see all of DG's conversation with author Charlene Regester tomorrow night at 9:30 and again on Sunday at 5.
Podcasts on UNC-TV.org are made possible through the financial contributions of viewers like you, who invite you to join them in supporting UNC-TV.